What instantly makes a girl hot? My girl is a 10 based on looks alone. She really is. So hot I kinda ignored her and was a bit of a schmuck when we first met because I genuinely thought her coming into my life was some kind of setup and not a random interaction. Funny thing is, she was so used to people tripping over themselves to be in her orbit that I was the first guy who kinda checked her in that regard. And it actually won me points in the long run. Lucky for me. What got me though was her insane intelligence. She's my best friend and she loves football. Unfortunately, we cheer for rival teams, but it makes for a lot of fun on Sundays. We rag on each other a bit, but it's all love. A year ago, we didn't know each other, but now I can't imagine life without her. She gives a lot of positive affirmations in terms of stating how I lift her up, but the reality is, I'm a much better person because of her. She tames me and calms me down in a way no one ever could, simply by existing. I love that woman, and I go out of my way to make sure she knows it every single day. Get yourself a girl who makes you want to move mountains every day. If she ain't doing that, then she's not the one. Wait, they both cheer for rival football teams? That's a recipe for disaster. Or the most entertaining Sunday dinners ever. Story 2. Tangible hobbies. Many girls obviously have hobbies, but a common complaint from my male friends is that their girlfriends don't really have any. Having dated a hodgepodge of people, I've noticed many of the activities that my partners enjoy don't traditionally count as hobbies. My partner loves to read and watch Netflix series and our dog. Now, reading is certainly a hobby, but it's very passive. Watching Netflix is something we can share, but really during our downtime. I'm not sure if dog is a hobby, but the dog brings her joy. Me too. And I try to recognize these things as her interests. And it's helpful for folding them into what we do every day. Most days she'll ask me, "What do you want to do today?" And I struggle with the same sentiment I believe many men do. We can go on a bike ride. We can putter around in my boat. We can play a board game. But these are all things that were definitely my hobbies before our relationship. They're all my interests. So whenever she asks, "What do you want to do today?" my real yearning is that I want to do something with her. But we end up doing a hobby of mine because all of her hobbies are conventionally downtime. This sort of mentality makes me feel responsible for both of our entertainment. It also makes me feel like we always do what I want to do, but there are only so many days you can lounge around the house. I really love my partner, and she's very flexible. It takes constant effort to fold in her abstract hobbies into my distinct ones daily. I think culturally, we view physical hobbies as the true hobbies, which may lead some to believe men have more hobbies. That is, most hobbies are sports, and men tend to be more interested in them. There's a lot of food for thought here. But the answer to the post question is having an active, shareable hobby. I mentioned I've dated people without traditional hobbies, but I've dated people with plenty of hobbies too. All of the issues I've outlined above are mitigated by having even one. Want to go on a hike? It's not really for me, but hell yes, I do. Story 3. It's different for every guy. Bodies, some like big ones, some like small, some like thin, some like thick, some like tall, some like small. Personality, some like clever girls. Some prefer girls they feel will not be able to outsmart them. Some like laughter, some like adventurousness, some like shyness. Looks, some like makeup, some like unmade up, some like dressed, some like jeans. General things we all seem to like. Hygiene, kindness, sensitivity, niceness, faithfulness, maturity, emotional control, financial control. So do yourself up. Make sure you're clean and smell nice. Be a nice person. Don't be rude or snobby. Don't be demanding or entitled. Be rational. Craziness is a distinct turnoff. Be friendly. Smiles are very attractive, especially if you seem to mean it. Be genuine. Be honest. Better he finds out you don't like X straight away than pretend you do and waste time for both of you. Be who you really are, to attract the person who likes the real you. If you can manage to hit a number of the things he likes, you'll instantly be hot to him. Story 4. Honestly speaking, any skill. If a woman is just crazy good at anything, it makes her just that much more interesting. Cooking, drawing, archery, climbing, motorcycles, really don't care. Just be motivated to get good at it. But too often I talk to people, not just girls, people in general, and they always give the standard, "I like food, traveling, dogs, and having a good time." That stuff is boring. Sure, I can go out and eat. Sure, I can just go travel. It's fun, but to be honest, I can already do that. Get good at something where you can look at your past self and say, "I definitely excelled," or even, "I didn't think I could have come this far." Maybe you'll do something that you didn't think you would ever do in your life. That stuff is attractive as hell. Story 5. If I'm instantly attracted to this person without even thinking about it, that covers the physical aspect. It's just this raw natural attraction, involuntary bodily response, elevated heart rate, staring without noticing, feeling like everyone or everything else just fades to the periphery, versus, oh, she looks pretty attractive. As far as personality is considered, for me, a girl instantly becomes hot when she shows she's very clever or intelligent. She understands my sense of humor and makes jokes of her own. She comes across as someone I can relate to versus some mythical creature called woman, passion for similar interests. And probably the biggest turn on is when she shows genuine interest in my life, hobbies, viewpoints, etc. That last point really drives it home for me and makes me feel super valued and appreciated. Also, if I think someone's personality is hot, I'm really entertained by talking with him. Doesn't feel like it needs a bunch of effort or concentration, and the time goes by so quickly. Think hours passing. Story 6. This is gonna sound insane, but lack of fear. Way more people than you think on a daily basis are running around pretty nervously. Many people are confident as a means to mask fear, but once you learn to recognize that vibe, you can't stop noticing how uncomfortable someone is. If you meet a girl and they're completely fearless and at home, not trying to finesse their environment or people in it at all, they speak their mind without worry of consequences. It's really hot. You can see someone you'd otherwise have doubts about, and if they have that kind of power, it rockets them from a 6 to a 9, instantly. Story 7. Instantly? For looks. If you're talking instantly. And while that's hella subjective, there is a bar of basic presentation that needs to be hit. That goes for both genders. Again, if we're talking instantly, but past that, there's a train of other stuff that comes afterwards. Do we get along? Do we mix well? Is she mean? Etc., etc. But if you're talking instantly, it's looks. And you'll get 10 different answers on that one if you ask 10 different people. Everyone's got their thing. Best to just look your best. Lean into your best features. Take care of yourself. Be kind and open while still maintaining healthy boundaries and hope for the best. Story 8. It depends on what you mean by hot. When straight men use that word, it's usually to describe physical beauty. Rarely will you hear a guy say a girl is hot because of her personality. Don't get me wrong, we care about personality and character, but we often use different vocabulary for that. I assume you're looking for an answer different than sexy body, so I'll go with intelligence, especially the ability to think critically. I'd rather date a smart, decent-looking girl than a vapid supermodel, but to be honest with you, no amount of intelligence, humor, kindness, or anything else will make up for being a 2 out of 10 on looks. Personality can make a 6 into an 8, but it won't do miracles. Story 9. I was seeing a girl, woman, from another state and visited her. We had plans for a vacation which required a plane trip. The night before the flight, I borrowed her car for a trip to the store. No big deal. The next morning, she asked me to warm the car for the trip to the airport. Also no big deal. I go into the garage, get into the car, turn the key, and nothing. The car does literally nothing. Me. Holy crap, she's going to think that I broke her car. She's going to go off on me, and then I'm going to be stuck with her on this now vacation for days, hearing nothing then about how I suck. Walking back inside while she's finishing packing. I don't know how to say this other than your car seems broken. Doesn't make a single noise when I turn the key. Just nothing. Her. Screw it. We've got time to get an Uber. I'll do that. You all packed? She was instantly hot right there. Suddenly stranded with her for days doesn't sound so bad anymore. Story 10. Pretty much anything out of the ordinary. I don't care if it is throwing knives, painting people, or manually editing a grub.cfg file like I'm doing now, and tearing my hair out because it won't find arch. To be honest, a lot of girls in my area just don't seem to have hobbies aside from Snapchat, Tumblr, Instagram, or other stuff like that. I respect it, but they're boring and really typical. Be passionate about something. Also, the skill to, in general, be able to handle your own problems, or at least willing to try. Sink pipe breaks? Fix that crap. Need to check your oil? Do it yourself, it isn't hard. Change a tire? Do that crap yourself. Yes, some things should require a professional, but many can be fixed by yourself. Someone else said it in this thread. Many women pride themselves with being useless. It isn't a good trait. Story 11. Last date I went on, the girl was in a rush and wore a hoodie and sweatpants. She kept apologizing, saying she had lots going on, but didn't want to miss out going out with me. We talked for a while, and I finally convinced her I didn't care how well dressed she was. I was just there to spend time with her. Once she was comfortable, she started being so much more upbeat and fun. That was when I looked at her and thought she was the most attractive girl ever. Think someone comfortable with themselves and enjoying life like that is by far the hottest thing, in my opinion. Sadly, however, this was just under a year ago, and she stopped talking to me for reasons she never fully explained. But I still think of that moment and hope I find someone else with that level of confidence someday. Story 12. Any girl who has that one odd talent that is unnecessarily polished. I had one girlfriend who wasn't very good at video games or anything. She didn't even like them. But one game, she had it down like second nature. Smash Brothers, of all things. She showed up and played with my group of like 5 friends, and by the end of 30 minutes, she somehow figured out how the movement works for dash dancing. She learned how to tech every single time she hit anything, and she was learning entire strings of combos just from watching and incorporating into her own gameplay. Just the abilities behind it is what I found hot. Anyone that can learn and adapt that quickly, even with something as useless as a video game, is top tier in my opinion. Story 13. I'm late to this thread, but my wife is hands down the best socializer I've ever met or witnessed. By that I mean that her emotional intelligence is off the charts. She can have a conversation with literally anyone, and her entire personality just exudes kindness. She works with housing insecure individuals, but she always makes them light up when she interacts with them. The same with children or just people she meets. I tell her all the time how thankful I am she isn't evil because she could muster a cult-like army of followers in no time, if she were so inclined. It blows my mind because I thought I was an extrovert until I met her. Then I had to come to the realization that I'm really an introvert who likes people or people enjoy sometimes, whereas she genuinely likes people. It's one of the many things I'm attracted to about her, which is funny because she doesn't think she's conventionally pretty. And sure, she doesn't fit society's type, but I will be damned if she doesn't just seep her kindness and genuine personality into everything. Like honestly, just thinking about it makes me realize how hotness when you're younger is so superficial. I don't like who I was, but with a bit of age under my belt, attractive is nice. But personality can boost a rating by like 7 points so easily it isn't even funny. So she can think she's a 6 or 7, but with her stunning personality, it's an easy 14 out of 10. Story 14. Too many to name, with many variables. Every girl has things about them, and it's so common to see it as a flaw. Short hair can be hot, grunge style can be sexy, big noses can be adorable, thin lips can be mesmerizing, small backs can be cute, perky ones can be, well, all can and will be attractive with a dose of confidence, which, in my opinion, is at least acceptance or, at most, comfortable. It's all a matter of perspective. I personally gave up on the type thing when I realized this stuff. I had a very chubby girl make me throb like never before, and I always thought if the chick didn't fit in with my imaginary checklist, it was a no-go. Every girl can be captivating in their own way, and it's so lovely to come across one who's confident. It's not as rare as I thought, but damn it, I never get tired of it and wish I could see it more often. Story 15. Showing interest in a subject I'm enthusiastic about, and sudden shows of interest, when you're doing something menial and suddenly you show off yourself to cheer me up. I'm a simple guy. If I'm sad or annoyed by work or something, showing me interest in my well-being and saying, "Wait, let me do that for you," is hot. Or not hot per se, but more like a loving action to take care of me when I'm overworking myself. Telling me to take a load off and just cuddle. Also, I don't care about the athletic body type. I mean, good for you that you're fit and you're confident in your looks, but I like tummies that I can grab. Also, if I tell you that you're beautiful, sexy, and pretty, I mean it. Be confident in yourself. Don't drag yourself down and tell yourself you're ugly. If I say you're beautiful, you are. And if you show confidence in yourself and how you look, it's hot as hell. Story 16. Good teeth, pretty eyes, dresses well, skinny to normal size. A few extra pounds is fine, but nothing hanging over anywhere. I'm the same and expect the same or better. It motivates me too. After they meet the eye check and I find them pleasing to look at, then I go into other things like personality, quirkiness, hobbies, religious activities, and history. Red flags, X's, dangerous ones. Too shy. I can't handle it. Too nerdy. Not a fan of nerdy ladies. Actually, kind of talk, perfectionist. Need to know when to let things go. Depression type talk or acting. I don't deal with depressed women. Serious medical issues. I don't like to take care of people on a daily basis, unless they're kids. But none of that matters now. I found her at 26, married her, and have been married for 10 years now. So yeah, those were the things I learned to look for. Pretty much just a nice, healthy woman who looked good and could keep up with everything I was saying and doing without being extreme in anything or too needy. Story 17. Boy, this is a loaded question. Take it from someone whose life has been ruined by women more times than he can count and absolutely will again. When you say instantly, then we're talking aesthetically, 100%. I've seen women that I wouldn't have looked at twice, but then she smiled or said something nice, or a waitress that might shift her weight. And now I take notice of her curves or that she has really pretty hair, but I digress. I'm gonna hit this at first sight angle. There is absolutely nothing a chick can do that's sexier than wearing high heels and carrying herself like a woman. There is something about what heels do to the female shape that is just elegant and feminine. I think also subconsciously it says, this chick is willing to walk in something that's probably uncomfortable just to look this hot. And that's hot too. Story 18. Being into science or research. I actually developed an instant crush on an acquaintance when I learned she does molecular bio research and has co-authored papers. And it's a shame, actually. We were loose acquaintances throughout high school, and I didn't know her or anything about her. Got to know her a little more in the final week of high school and came to the realization we have pretty much everything in common. Same interests, hobbies, background, life goals, political views, etc. She even fulfilled the physical niche that I'm attracted to. I know judging potential SOs against a mental checklist is bad and leads you to undervalue a lot of great people, but let's face it, everyone does it anyway. And she met every item in my list. She matched every damn checkbox. Unfortunately, both of us decided to attend universities that are 2,000 miles apart following graduation. Story 19. Delicious, sexy, effective, measured, calm communication. Hear me out. My identity is completely wrapped up in how my brain works. The way I think about issues, the way that I react to things, what behavioral instincts I have in certain situations. This might not be the case for absolutely everyone, but I suspect that it's super common. When I can't communicate well with someone, it feels like I don't exist. If I lack the capacity to take an idea out of my head and place it in their head, then they're completely incapable of seeing the real me. My ideas are me. I think, therefore I am. Someone else in this thread said that a girl wanting you makes them attractive immediately. A girl could be all over me, and if I don't feel connected with her, then she might still want some part of me, but it's not the part that I think of as me. There's nothing worse than holding someone and feeling alone, and if someone can't really talk to you, then you always feel alone in their presence. Story 20. Being considerate. It's now probably my number one dating criteria, and I can give you a good example of that in play. Last week, I had a girl over for dinner and a second date. They made us a 3-course meal, and we were really hitting it off. I'd been bringing plates back to my kitchen as we went along, and at the end of dessert, I excused myself to hit the bathroom for a minute. I came back to find my date at my sink, sleeves rolled up, plowing through dishes. I didn't ask or imply I wanted her to do that. In fact, I was going to leave all that cleanup for the next morning, but the fact that she clearly thought, this guy has taken time and effort to make us a nice meal and I'm going to pitch in now, instantly elevated her in my mind from, this day could be fun, to wife material. It was particularly powerful because I recently came out of a longer relationship with someone who was not very considerate at all. Some other key highlights from my dating career. I was studying for finals in a library in undergrad, and a girl I was seeing brought me coffee and a sandwich. Made my week. I had a girlfriend from out of town stay with me for a couple weeks. While I was at work, she cleaned up my apartment pretty thoroughly to pitch in. This was particularly solid because I couldn't do that while I was at work, and we were maximizing the time we could spend together in the evenings, going out, etc. So I just had no time to get this done, and she had plenty of time to lend me a hand on this. Now, as I'm reading this over, I realize there's a pretty great punchline here. Do my dishes, clean my apartment, make me a sandwich. But hopefully you recognize it's largely about the circumstances and pitching in. People are doing nice things for you. Do nice things back. And I certainly, as a man, try and make sure there's plenty of these considerate moments flowing in the other direction. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 21. I saw a similar post of the opposite gender, but there are some commonalities for girls too. Confidence. Being vulnerable and dependent is cute at first, but turns into a nightmare over a long-term relationship. Body image. Chest jobs, nose jobs, excessive tattoos, changing hairstyles and color every other day. These signal to me, at least, that you don't like yourself and that you have some serious self-image issues. I'd rather have a flat-chested girl who is confident about herself than a girl with big implants who is constantly trying to get the affirmation of strangers and checking her social media for thumbs up and likes. Education and responsibility. Takes ownership of failures. Nothing is more of a turnoff for anyone, male or female, than a person who doesn't admit faults or blames others for their own failures. Ghetto or ill-mannered girls are just turn-offs. No one likes this other than cruel individuals like R. Kelly. Intelligence. Not to be confused with the above, education. You can be educated but still so dumb. Most social science or bachelor or arts majors fall into this category. Yes, we're educated, but no. You pick the easiest, least effective, least marketable major. And all bachelor's degrees cost the same, so yeah, you're a dummy for picking the lowest value product for the same price as a product with high value. Story 22. Deep conversation, not surface level BS. Tell me about your interests, your family, and friends. Go one step more and ask me about my own. Find common ground. Dig deeper into that. Have those conversations that make me go, oh my god, no way, with genuine laughter. Go further and engage in intellectual conversation, and I might just melt. I don't care how much you paid for your nails, how many cigarettes your ex smoked, how you can't leave the house without makeup, how you can't believe so and so got voted out of Love Island. These things are okay for touching on the subject, but not if you just start rambling on and are not able to read the person next to you, or better yet, are so self centered that you don't even care. This is the instant turn off. Story 23. I met a woman from deepest County Clare once, who had a face you normally only see in paintings made by men who ended themselves because the world can live up to the beauty that resided in their heads. She knew her crap. Hell, there wasn't a single crap in a 10-mile radius she didn't know. Spherical. It's goat. Nope, that's not rat, it's too small. That's mouse. Square? Come on, that's a sitter. It's wombat. Anyway, I met her because she was a locum from my usual GP. I don't know how or why, but I didn't end up marrying her. She did put me a hefty dose of Moxie, which cleared it right up, so I still like to think she holds a candle for me. Story 24. Not disrespecting my hobbies and interests. I'm in my 30s and I still enjoy video games, fantasy novels, and tabletop games. They don't consume my life, but I love to indulge when I can. I've lost count of how many women have told me that I should have grown out of that stuff by now. That it isn't real, so why do I like it so much, or that it's stupid and childish. Instant turn off. My games and books have been there for me in my darkest days, so they're not going anywhere. If you can't handle that, I'm sticking with what I know. Story 25. If a woman naturally beats me in a compliment war towards people neither of us have interest or ulterior motives in building up, my ears perk up. Understanding nuances and music theory is a yes, and the ability to discuss philosophy even when it means admitting she and or I have erred and not blowing up about the fact either way. A willingness to be in heat just because, but not in a bad way. Clever banter and wit. And finally, I won't ask anyone to marry me until I see what her mama bear mode looks like. Sheer will isn't the goal. Intelligent, methodical resolving of situations with stupid people and remaining reasonable, even while in full throttle on the no you didn't pedal. The looks will naturally follow someone who thinks that way because you'll see their self-worth in their eyes. Story 26. Back in my younger days, I'd take girls on top of a pretty big building where I lived that was 10 stories high. Great view that you couldn't get anywhere else around there. Secluded because nobody ever went up there, and also kind of scary because there was literally nothing stopping you from just walking off the edge. So you'd often want something or someone to hold on to. Between me and a buddy of mine, it's disturbing how many girls that worked on. One night I took a girl up there, and instead of worrying about stuff, she walks over to the edge and sits down. She even had her legs dangling over the side. Doing that threw me so far off my game I didn't know what to do with her. So we stayed up there talking for hours. She was by far the most awesome girl I ever took up there. Luckily, I eventually figured this girl out though. She's been keeping me on my toes for over 23 years now and is even more awesome than she was back then. At the bookstore, when she tells me she just got into Lord of the Rings and wants some other fantasy recommendations, barely contained squee. We chatted for a while as I walked with her through the fantasy or sci-fi section. Oh, you should check this out. You definitely like this one. Epic like Lord of the Rings. This one's a lot darker. Oh, this one is a female protagonist. She ended up grabbing the Eye of the World, Wheel of Time, but said she'd have to be back to pick up more. Now, do you think my nerdy, awkward, introverted self could ask for her number? The words were right on the tip of my tongue, but I just couldn't do it. Ugh. I only work part-time there, but if she comes in again, I'll definitely work up the nerve. He's got the take a girl to a rooftop move down pad, but asking for her number? Still a work in progress? Story 27. Voice or laugh matters more than I thought it would. I have sensitive hearing. I'm not against girly or energetic voices, but lately, a calm or darker voice has gotten me interested, and too high-pitched might be a problem. But I like them being interested and having their attention, not just being bored or neutral 24/7. Also, I love a girl with similar interests or opinions to talk with about. On a purely physical standpoint, clothing matters more than I thought it would for me. For some reason, a tank top and shorts is equally as attractive as a tight sweater and tight pants. Story 28. This might not be what you want to hear. People here are listing all the things that make a girl mentally attractive. Yeah, you can be a girl with all those qualities and have an incredibly difficult time finding a man. Physical appearance matters. There are a lot of guys that are desperate. A lot of guys who are willing to compromise and date someone they find less attractive because attracting women does not come naturally to many. But if you want to pull a man that has a choice of women, and in my experience, most women do, you're going to have to be the best choice, and while all men can love a personality, very few men can ignore an appearance. Get to a good, keyword is good, weight. You don't have to be skinny. You can be overweight. Many men are attracted to women of all reasonable weights. Chances are, if you have enough fat on you to turn a good portion or most men off, you have an unhealthy amount of fat on you and you should be losing weight for you too. Wear makeup. Dress well. Style your hair. Learn what looks good on you and look nice. Yes, there is an unequal standard of beauty between the genders, and this goes back to men being much less able to ignore physical appearance than women. If you don't like it, I definitely won't judge you on not wanting to play the game. Just be aware that playing the game gives you more opportunities, and the men you meet by not playing aren't any better or worse. That's all I can think of now. I might be downvoted for this, but I learned this a while ago that I'd rather be practical than idealistic. So this advice goes out to anyone wanting to do the same. Story 29. Beyond the obvious, universal stuff like being physically attractive and pleasant to be around, for me it's the rare times a woman knows how to take any amount of initiative in matters of love and or intimacy. I did the whole Tinder thing for a while, and while it's fine for me to be the one to message her and compliment her and suggest moving to WhatsApp and ask her to come over, and make all the first moves as far as intimacy goes, they got rather annoying and kind of depressing after a while. Sure, these people felt that I was attractive enough to sleep with, and I get it. Cultural norms. But having a woman be the one to say, hey, want to come over for some fun? Or make an effort in some other way would have definitely been nice. Overall, it's just kind of rare to get a reason to feel attractive as a man. Applies elsewhere as well. Getting the feeling that a girl is chasing me makes me, at the very least, reevaluate how I feel about her and think more about her. Just almost never happens, even if I don't feel like I'm generally totally SOL as far as dating life goes. Other more or less random hot things are skirts. Eye contact that lasts like 0.7 seconds longer than it's supposed to. That's her naughty smile. Social skills, especially being able to hold a conversation, and chokers. Clothing that bears the back is also a personal weakness, especially with no bra straps inside, though I guess it just goes under revealing clothing. Story 30. Specific. Okay. We'll go in the order that traits are noticed from a first meeting. First things first, confidence. If a girl isn't displaying confidence in her body language, words, and actions, then we're probably never going to meet. Body language or attire should suggest grace, femininity, and class. Next, Western facial features with as much symmetry as possible. Even skin tone on the face with the exception of maybe a few freckles over the nose. Eyes shouldn't be too wide apart. Eyebrows should be tailored. Full lips, nice teeth. Smile should come naturally. High cheekbones, no puffy cheeks. With the exception of maybe a little lipstick. No makeup. Feminine jawline. No horse faces and no jaunt or hang on the neck. Hair, red or brunette, medium to long in length. No shortcuts here. Hair should be groomed, suggesting she takes good care of herself and values her position in society. The less hair dye, the better. Body curvy. Not the butchered word fat girls are trying to turn it into. Actual curvy. Arms should be toned with slight muscle show. Long, lean, feminine muscle. Legs similar in tone and long. Thigh gap is fine, but there's a point at which it becomes weird. Then we talk and personality comes into play. This is important in order to stay attractive. Voice should be feminine, not too deep, not squeaky and nasal and not annoying. The phrase, oh my god, should never be uttered in conversation. You should be feminine funny, not actual funny, which is different. Intelligence is highly attractive as well. The more intelligent, the better, but as a bare minimum, one should be scientifically literate and have well-developed critical thinking skills. Good conversation skills with a happy, alluring personality. Similar morals, values, and life direction, of course. Should be ambitious, but down to earth. Trustworthiness and loyalty are also major points of attraction. Kind, nurturing, and loving. Thankfully, I've found just a girl in my best friend and wife. How lucky I feel every day knowing I am as special to her as she is to me. Yeah, okay. Sure, buddy. Type that in your mom's basement. Story 31. Whatever we don't see often and so feel repressed to make it a cultural identity or a lack of what people see might make them culturally interesting, based on their own biases and standards. Showing too much skin, seeing only their eyes totally covered, etc. Variation of acceptance. Are people finding different things to fawn over because their boredom, I'm sure, as we find something else about the body to be hyped over, like a weird fetish? Of course, inside things like whether we find them nice or smart or some mental utility that genders might want each other over stereotypically or not. Usually it's not a mental faculty thing, since sexy means looks usually, but the art mind will split hairs and say anything is sexy, reaching really hard to say, well, it's sexy when so and so walks outside to get the mail before petting the dog's head. Story 32. So it took me a long time to figure this out because some of the girls I feel attracted to look like people I wasn't. There were people who I felt emotionally attracted to that I would not consider dating. They weren't ugly or anything, so that's why I was confused. Physically slender, I'm really thin, and I think this is why I like thin girls. I'm actually not a fan of curves, and I like flat chests. Sharp or severe facial features. I find pointed noses and narrow chins really elegant and pretty. Personality. I like introverts. I'm an introvert and I've dated extroverts who were draining. I just couldn't keep up with them, since they always needed to be either listening or talking. I like it when I can sit in warm, comfortable silence with someone and she only expects me to say something when it needs to be said and does the same herself. I also like sweet-natured girls. I can't define sweet. They should also be as smart as me, which narrows the field. I'm not super elitist or whatever, but I don't do small talk, and if a girl isn't as smart, I get bored. Other notes. I don't like makeup that much, or rather, makeup where you can tell it's makeup. I like a little bit of base and some light eyeliner, but it's unnerving when you can clearly tell she's got lots of makeup on. I also don't like it when a girl is arrogant about her beauty. That's my place. I don't care if she's arrogant about other things, but how which ease are my type. Sense of humor is such a common response that it's lost all meaning, but I like it when I don't offend a girl irreversibly within 30 minutes. I have a really dark, dry sense of humor, and I need a potential mate to get that. She doesn't need to laugh at my jokes, but not look so shocked. Story 33. Meets all of her responsibilities and doesn't find the most meaningless excuse to cancel stuff. Someone who's honest with herself. Someone who's honest with you. Someone who's aware of their emotional regulation and continually tries to be better. Someone who does not play emotional games. Someone who, if called out, will pause and take an honest reflection to assess if they might have things to change, and then change them. Someone who demands the exact same thing from you, while still exhibiting those same behaviors. Someone who isn't perpetually lazy. Someone who chooses to do more than the bare minimum. Someone who's clean. One who cuts loose but knows the boundaries between carefree and reckless. I should stop. Story 34. Understanding and support. It means more than anyone can ever say. Being more proactive in their affections really hits hard when you actually feel loved or at least desired in some way. Willing to be goofy or weird around you. Talk nerdy and geek out. A girl who's going to go down the rabbit hole with you about how zombies are unrealistic, but let's have a plan just in case, is way more fun, interesting, and attractive than a girl who spends hours on their appearance only to just talk about something deep, such as, what's the meaning of life, or do you believe in the existence of God? Because seriously, it's not a fun conversation, and in the end, she just kind of sits there like, oh, okay, cool. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be dumb. You don't have to be the most pretty girl in the room. Just be someone who is enjoyable to be around and make your affections and desires clear. Don't flake on us. Don't play games with our emotions. Don't look at us as providers. We are your partners. We love you. Don't turn us into an ATM or some kind of convenient roommate that just splits a check with you. We aren't a status symbol, and we aren't some unfeeling rock there to do nothing but supply you with all your dreams and wishes. Don't think, oh hey, we're married. All romance is out the window, or don't have to take care of yourself because, hey, you're married. Love us, value us, comfort us, and we will do the same for you. Story 35. These are just based on first sight reactions from my personal preferences, as the topic implies. She looks great in tight clothing, or lack thereof. This means she's either slim or curvy in a sexy way. Something like 38, 24, 35, and not 70, 100, and 150. Now, there are no perfectly airbrushed or Photoshop women in the world, but you cannot deny that there are lots of women who have great figures, either because they were born that way or they trained hard to achieve that kind of body. She can cosplay and actually look amazing doing it. She wears eyeglasses. Somehow, a girl wearing eyeglasses adds to her charm in my personal opinion. She is feminine and not afraid to show it. She has a beautiful smile. No, smiling is not a sign of subservience to the patriarchy. Smiling is something that normal people do to communicate, without words, that they are friendly and they welcome you. She has normal feminine hair. Curly hair like in those fairy tale princesses is wonderful. Bob hair or those other Japanese hairstyles are also beautiful. Extra, Although rare, there are women who can communicate with their eyes or lips alone. They are awesome. Story 36. If she takes the initiative. I hate when girls expect men to make the move because of tradition. For example, invites someone out, offers a drink, or expects the man to pay for the restaurant visit. As much as these are social expectations, the more powerful it feels when a girl says, let's split the bill. Also, if she has a decent savings. It's not about the money specifically, but a decent savings shows me that she's economically sensible. Doesn't just spend money just because it's available, and also likely doesn't waste money on useless trash. If she doesn't give a flying crap about how she's dressed, if she wears clothes that look more practical or comfortable instead of fancy or stylish and expensive, I assume she's confident and secure in herself. If she's clumsy and doesn't get embarrassed or nervous, if her friends also generally seem to be somewhat sensible, non-smokers, smart, reflective, have self-insight, and are kind, shows she knows how to be in a healthy social group. Story 37. She wants to have intimacy with me. Basically, that's all. We don't work like that. We're visual and we will go with anything that gets us, unless of course she doesn't. That attracts. What makes her stay is completely different, and even those reasons can be different. I've stayed with a woman because she broke my spirit. I've stayed with a woman because she excited my full life and brought me to places I would have never ventured alone. I stayed with women that were weak and needed energy to feed off that boosted my ego, replacing my sense of self for shallow vanity, foolishly flaunting the trophy I acquired as if it were an extension of my being. I've stayed with women because I was afraid to be alone, afraid to go without, afraid to have to develop my own life without a partner. Many times we think a woman equals fulfillment, yet I have yet to have this be the case one time in my entire life. So what attracts me to a woman these days? Now that I've gone through years of pain and suffering, years of abuse and codependency and heartbreak and rejection, years of surviving head games of intimacy that feed on men with so many different undetectable motives that take a part of me each time they leave a hollow shell of a man that used to love. What wisdom did that bring? Well, what attracts me now? She wants to have intimacy with me. Story 38. Physically, I like someone who has an average build. Not a skeleton, not fat or even chubby, just completely average. I love good legs. Again, average. I'm not into bird legs or big thunder thighs, but I want something I can grip that feels soft wrapped around my head. I love natural, full lips and big eyes, especially blue or green eyes. Personality, intelligence. I like someone who I can have a conversation with about deep topics and who can challenge me. Someone who's open to trying different things. I also really like confidence. It's such a huge turn on when you're sexy and you know that you're sexy and it empowers you in the bedroom. Well, if you like these stories, here's more. YouTube thinks you're going to love this. Catch you in that video.